what's the difference between merit and wholesome actions? Even though it may look like the same, because you need to do good things to gain merit, isn't it? So when you're doing good things, you're actually doing wholesome actions, right? Wholesome actions by itself will give you merits, right? So why is it that we emphasize a lot on merits and not, so much on wholesome actions? Every time you do something, we say we gain merits, right? And we never say, oh, you have done a good wholesome action. We always emphasize more on the merit. So this little bit of emphasis actually makes a lot of difference, in how we approach certain things, and also gives some different dimension to our practice. And by looking at the meaning of merit and wholesome action, basically merit is punya, wholesome action is kusala. So by looking at these two words very carefully, then we will be able to look at the finesse, the minute difference between these two things. And with the right focus, then we can actually uplift our actions, right? And in fact, uplift our merit from the worldly to the spiritual. So hopefully within 1 hour, we can do this, all right? Okay, let's continue. So today's sharing premise is on 3 points only. Number one is that we like to explore merits as wholesome actions, right? Not just looking at merit as merit. How we can explore the merits, all the things that we do to gain merit, and how we should look at it as wholesome action itself, kusala. Because wholesome action brings wholesome actions is conducive to generating good karma. This is important, all right? It's not just the merit, it's the wholesome action itself, and how good karma leads to a higher quality of life. So generally, this is the flow of thought that I will be sharing with you this morning. Okay. So keep in mind, I will be exploring punya at the same time, also kusala. Okay. But the end result is that you generate good karma, and the good karma is, is what you expect, a higher quality of life. But karma works in a very mysterious way, right? You do good thing, may not come good result immediately. Nevertheless, you already planted the seed, so do not worry when the result will come. So merits as wholesome action, what does it mean? Okay, it is a fundamental Buddhist ethics. Basically, we go to any of the Buddhist country, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Burma, you actually see dana, or the act of giving, as a very important action by the local communities there. It is fundamental to their practice. They may not be well versed in the Dhamma. If you look at the local population, if you talk Dhamma with them, they may not know so much. Okay, let's say you bring out some suttas. Even Four Noble Truths or Noble Eightfold Path, they don't even know how to memorize all those things. Even the chanting of the precepts, they don't do it through memory. They have to read the book. So Thai people, sometimes I go there, and I noticed they take the book and recite the 5 precepts. I said, look, this is, you don't memorize? He said, no, this one you go temple only read. So to them, it's a born Buddhist. They're not so serious, many of them. But doing dana, it comes naturally to them. Okay, so it is a fundamental Buddhist ethics to these Buddhist countries, and we do not downplay its role as a Buddhist practice. So merit is important, and it should be a fundamental practice, even though your Dhamma knowledge may not be strong. By doing this, it will also help you to generate a lot of good things. So when you do merit, generally speaking, it is a beneficial and protective force, and it accumulates, right? It accumulates. So because you keep on doing it, and it accumulates, and then it becomes your protective insurance, I would say, to help you in times of when we are having misfortune. So do not underestimate merit making in that sense, okay, in a positive sense. So it is an important Buddhist practice. Okay, in Buddhism, marriage gain a more general ethical meaning. Okay, not necessarily, over the time, since the Buddha's day until today, merit making has been transformed. Okay, it has grown from its original meaning. Because originally the Buddha didn't mention too much about merit making. He emphasized more on dana. Okay, dana. So later on, dana became is related to karma. Okay, and karma is related to types of rebirth, isn't it? So based on this, to make the practice more appealing to the general public, to the lay people, this whole process, evolved to become merit making. Because generally lay people do not go and learn the Dharma, unlike the monks or nuns. So instead of going to learn, meditate a lot, so the emphasis became more focused on giving, doing dana. And dana will improve your life because of the cumulative of result, and therefore you generate good karma continuously. Okay, and with good karma continuously generated, the chances of you getting a better rebirth is good, or even creating a heavenly life on earth is good. Therefore, it became merit, right? So it is an ethical practice for Buddhists in general. Okay, so basically, merit is actually it's just a result of good karma lah. You just do good, you attract good, right? And when you are in a good situation, your mind become more peaceful, and you do not have a problem. You don't have a lot of problems because you basically make good relationship with everyone, and therefore your well-being is improved. So marriage has its good things, and if you look at from this point of view, it actually helps to cement community and society as a whole, making them positive and very very supportive in terms of creating well-being. So there are many ways of merit making. I won't touch too much on this. Okay, in the beginning, in the older suttas, the Buddha mentioned that merit making is of three things. You give, there is you do dana, you practice sila, virtues, and then you practice meditation, mental development, bhavana. Okay, so again, a lot of us have a wrong idea that merit making is just doing dana. So if you are you keep to your precepts, you are actually making merits, right? So imagine that if you keep to the precepts, you do not kill, you do not steal, you do not have sexual misconduct. Not doing those things is already a form of merit making because you're not creating harm, right? And mental development is merit making because when you purify your mind, when you make your mind mindful, for instance, then you do not accidentally cause harm. So when you are only doing good things and you are helping out people, and then you're making sure that you do not accidentally create havoc, all these are positive things. So as long as you're doing positive things, whether you're doing dana or whether you're practicing your virtue or whether you're doing meditation, the result is you are creating merits, right? It's a form of you gain some points in the spiritual points that I would say okay. So not just doing dana, but by practicing the precepts and also doing some form of metta and bhavana. Okay, metta bhavana and also vipassana or anapanasati. These are all very important. This is a whole thing, right? That give rise to good merits. Okay, Of course, overall, the Buddha's the Buddha didn't say this, but the community kind of mentioned that the most fruitful form of merrymaking is actually those done with regard to the triple gem. Okay, the Buddha, his teachings, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Now, if you read the story of Anatta Pintika, okay, who gave a lot of money to build the Jeta Grove for Buddha to teach, right? Anatta Pintika was the rich man in during that time, and he supported the Buddha by establishing that location in Jeta Grove, so that he can teach the Dhamma, and many great teachings came up from that place, Jeta Grove. Okay, that was a very first example of lay people supporting the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha in its full aspect. That became the template for most future Buddhists, including us, to follow. Okay, so like Anatta Pindika give a lot of money, a lot of gold, I would say, to build Jeta Grove. And that's how the idea of temple building came about, right? So when the temple is established, the center is established, so that the Buddha's teaching have a place to stay. And for us, the people, even the Sangha has a place to stay. And for us, the lay Buddhists, a chance to go to this center and have access to the teachings, and also keep the community going. So in that sense, if you got a chance to establish a Buddhist center or a Buddhist temple, it is a very fruitful form of merit making. Okay, but if there are too many temples already, right, and it's all underused, then we have to relook at this point and see whether it is wise to continue with this or not. We'll discuss about this further on. Okay, so basically, we just need to do three things, right? Practice giving, practice the virtues, and then practice meditation. And if it's possible, we give back to the community, so that these three things is continuously upheld. All right. Now, some people say, why don't we do with other communities as well? Fine, we can do with other communities, right? But like if you give to a Christian, right, you can give a lot to the Christian, but they don't really, let's say for instance, they may say, okay, they may teach the point about giving and virtues, fine. But mental development, they do not emphasize too much. While mental development is critical to the Buddhist teachings, okay? So if we give to another group and their point is not totally complete, then it's like, should we just kind of like, support without truly understanding why we are supporting? Not that we want to only support the Buddhists, okay? But because Buddhism has this way of life, and if we invest in this way of life, all right, and we think that this way of life is actually good for ourselves and for community in general, I think we should also, make sure that we continue to support this structure. Okay, so when we say the most fruitful form of merit making is these three things, therefore we consider looking at these three things as a valuable treasures. And when we have that kind of mindset, and then we just give to develop it, and I think by continuously doing that, we make sure that the Dharma doesn't go away. Okay, that's the important thing. Now, later Buddhists, the Buddhists of the later generation, in the Dhamma Sangani and the Attasalini, they expanded the three bases of merits to the performance of 10 deeds. Okay, 7 items are added to the previous 3. Right, so you have giving, virtue, mental development, which is the original 3. Then they added 7 others: honoring others, offering service, transference of merit, rejoicing in others' merit, listening to Buddha's teaching, and instructing others in the Buddha's teaching. Okay, and strengthening one's views according to the Buddha's teaching. So this 7 is more refined, because actually, like for instance, honoring others offering service, okay, dedicating merits to others, right? These three things is related to, is an expansion of giving, right? So because you are expanding your giving in a more refined way, okay? Like rejoicing in others' merit, right? Listening to Buddha's teaching, instructing others in the Buddha's teaching. These are all the extension of virtue. Because when you practice, you want to share with people, right? And if you want to improve your practice, you listen to the Dhamma more and more. So by coming to, let's say, classes like this, or listening to wise monks or nuns, you're able to gain more knowledge so that you can improve your practice, your virtue. And but the most important thing, you have to do it, right? So the later Buddhists, okay, expanded on the tree and refine it more. So when you have these 10 meritorious deeds, okay, it helps us to focus more on actually what we should do, right? You notice, out of these 10, 9 are basically related to personal action, okay, from virtue onwards, mental development, honoring others, things like that, right? It needs effort for us to go and learn. After learning, we go and give back to society, all right? So that is the process. It's not just, when we say dana, it's usually physical, right? Physical giving, like giving food, giving robes, right? Giving prerequisites to monks, or building temple, raising fund to build a stupa or things like that. So we are thinking only of that aspect, So after giving the money or giving, or time, then we basically say, okay, we have done this, then we put our name there, in the plaque. So dana has some form, some of it has become like that, right? It becomes very material. So if you look at the merit making in its actual original sense, is actually more action oriented. We really need to cultivate. We really need to share the cultivation, all right? Not just cultivate by ourselves, but also share it. So this requires a lot of personal effort to improve ourselves. After improving ourselves, we help society to improve. We help our close ones to improve. Okay, and it takes a lot of effort. Okay, so it's not so what call this simplistic lah. Merit making is just dana and doing all the things that we used to do. So it requires a lot of personal practice. So merit making in its original sense is these 3, and then expanded to this 10. All right. So if we do these 10 things well, you are actually making a lot of merits, right? Making a lot of merits. So these are all the things that we have to look into. Okay. Now, what's the difference in fact between punya and kusala? Punya means merit, okay, and kusala means wholesome action. Okay. Now I'm going to give you 2 views. One is by David Keon, and the other one is by Pra Pisalo. All right. So David Keon says, punya and kusala are different angles of the same concept. So you're saying that one coin, 2 different sides, front end, back end. Okay. So punya refers to the experience of the consequences of the actions. All right. So let's say punya, merit making, is the experience itself as the result of the action. You do something good, there is a result. That result refers to merit. Okay. Kusala refers just to the moral status of the action. You do something good, it is good. Okay. It is good, wholesome, right? That is just the moral status. That's it. You do something good. You have activated a wholesome action. So punya is the result of that wholesome action. So that's the difference. Okay, and that is why I think many of us emphasize a lot on the punya, because we want to look at the result of the positive action. Okay, not just the action itself, but the result of it. So Again, that's why I mentioned early in my initially at the beginning of my talk. If we can, focus not just at the result of the action, but just the action itself, it makes a lot of difference in our approach to things, because if you always refer to the experience of the consequences of the action, meaning we only look at the result of the action, therefore we are very, very result motivated. Without the result, we don't do. It can lead to that. All right. So it's not very healthy in that sense. So if you say you want to do something good, we just do it. I don't care what the result is. It's a totally different motivation altogether. The mindset is also changed. Okay. So perhaps in that sense, you may not allow greed to come in, because if you're only looking for the result, greed may come in somehow. All right. So we have to really look at this difference a little bit between Punya and Kusala. Okay, Prabhayuto, right, has a different meaning to this difference. He defined it as cleanliness of the mind, because both Punya and Kusala cleanse the mind, right? Both are required, because this is a fundamental Buddhist ethic, all right? Generally, when you practice Punya or Kusala, it will lead to wellness, generally speaking, okay? How he defined the Punya and Kusala, very interesting. Prabhupada says, Punya aims for the beautiful and praiseworthy aspect of such cleanliness, with worldly benefits such as wealth, praise, and happiness. Whereas Kusala aims for the purity aspect of the cleanliness, with enlightenment as its benefit. Now, both are required. Prabhupada doesn't say that which is more or less, which is more important or which is less important. Okay, he says both need to be accumulated on the Buddhist path, but the way we approach it, right, is a little bit different. So you want to do Punya, is kind of outwardly kind of a demonstration, right? So people can see, oh, you done good thing, such a praiseworthy thing, right? And because of that, people can see, right? They will support you. So generally, with support, you become, chances of you become wealthy, you get more praise, you get happiness. Well, it comes naturally because people can see what you're doing, to see the good thing that you're doing, all right? And that is what refers to by Damien Keon. Damien Keon says the consequence of the action. You experience the consequence of the good action, right? Which Prabhupada says is beautiful and praiseworthy. And because the action is beautiful and praiseworthy, you attract attention. That's the meaning of Punya, all right? You tend to get this sort of reaction from people. Where else Kusala? Because it is just a moral action, right? It is focused on purity aspect, with enlightenment as benefit. That means nobody knows that you're practicing wholesome thing, for instance, because you don't tell anyone. You just do it because it's good. You just do it. But it is very, very, very beneficial to you, because number one is that it purifies you. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter that people know or not, but you are transforming yourself personally. Okay, the more you do, the stronger your inner being is. You become more adept at refinement. For instance, if you meditate long enough, easily you can get into samadhi, right? So when you are easily into samadhi, you can actually go into various stage of investigation at very, very calm situation. And that's where you explore wisdom in its deeper sense. So in that kind of mind development is very different from lay people who doesn't go into that kind of situation, right? So when you have that ability, then your chance into going into deep into the mind, right, is higher. So the prospect of purity becomes more and more obvious to you. Okay, so this is the difference between Punya and Kusala, right? Um, I am not what very surprised why people are hung up on Punya rather than Kusala, because Punya actually people can see when you do something good, right? People can see, and then it attracts attention. Now the point is, if you have a strong ego, then you have a problem, because you keep on wanting that attention, right? It's like a drug, so the more you do, the more you want it. But you don't know, because you're still clouded with ignorance, all right? You don't know, but you feel good. You feel good doing it. That's the thing. You feel good doing it. You want to help people. Your heart is kind. But the more you want to do it, the more you do it, the more you want to do it. The more attention you get, the more you like it. So later on, I will explore this aspect called spiritual materialism, right? And it is a bond, okay? It is a fetter that bonds us to samsara, rather than release us. So we need to be aware of all these fine things, in our practice. Sometimes we think we are practicing good thing, but actually it's holding us back in our journey towards, release from samsara. So as long as we understand what we do and how we do it, then we won't get trapped. But if we are not aware, we will get trapped. Okay, so I think the definition by this Damien Kion and Prapayuto is very useful. Okay, for us to understand the difference between Punya and Kusala, right? Why some people, are so visible when they do good things, some people are invisible when they do good things, right? But you can see the difference between these two personalities. So it's up to you, all right? But this is generally the difference, okay? Now I will ask this. Somebody asked me this question. Is it that enlightened people no need merit making, only for us unenlightened people? Is it? So yes and no. And why enlightened people no need to make merit? Okay, I will explain here. So we need to define first what is called an enlightened person, right? Like the Buddha or the Arhat. Now, when you say you are an enlightened person, or when you are an Arhat, okay, this person no longer generate karma, correct or not? Right? When you are not generating karma, therefore, what is the merit? What's the point of having merit or demerit? Right? Because merit means do good things, right? And when you do good things, you generate a lot of positive energy. Positive energy is supportive of good karma. So if you are saying, right, enlightened person is neutral in terms of karma, therefore he's no longer generating karma. What for he do need to do good merit? No longer need to do, isn't it? And yet, right? Okay. So I explain further. So an enlightened person is neutral in terms of karma, but does not mean that he's ethically neutral, right? The Buddha, in fact, says that he is foremost in higher morality. Now, this is very interesting, isn't it? First, I say, enlightened person is neutral in terms of karma. That means he's not generating positive or negative karma. He's beyond that already, right? But at the same time, the Buddha does not say, I am ethically neutral. I am karmically neutral, but I am not ethically neutral. In fact, he is highly moral in his actions. Why is that so? It's a strange thing. Therefore, he's not generating karma already, but still he's a foremost in higher morality. Why is it so? Okay. So they are already perfected, these enlightened people. They are beyond the accumulative experience of merits. Okay. So they do not need to accumulate goodness, right? And they do not need happiness anymore. They are beyond all these things. For lay people, yes, we need all this because we are not yet enlightened, right? And they don't want to strive for happy rebirth. They don't want that already. They've gone beyond that already. Okay. Now, their enlightenment is a ethical profession. Because what drives the ethical profession and what sustains the ethical profession is kusala. Okay. So we must not forget, enlightened person is sustaining their base based on a platform, right? If you build an oil rig in the middle of the sea, right? In a calm day, it looks nice. But in a stormy day, right? Huge waves and big wind, the oil rig still doesn't topple over, Why? Because the foundation is strong, correct or not? What is the foundation of an enlightened person? It's basically perfect kusala. Okay, perfect kusala. Because and they don't need all this, accumulating goodness. So therefore, what they need is just to sustain the kusala, continue with it, because that is the base, that is the platform. If this platform falls, then this person is no longer enlightened. But once the kusala platform is established, unshakable, nothing will break it down. Okay, so the neutral person, the enlightened person, is neutral in karma. All right, he does not need good merit. He does not need positive merits anymore. He no longer need punya. But what sustains him or her is wholesome actions. Okay, kusala. So the Buddha says, I am foremost in higher morality, adi sila. Where else we just practice the sila aspect only. He is the higher morality. Okay. So even though you are an enlightened person, you still need the platform, the morality platform. Okay, the wholesomeness platform. So for us unenlightened people, yes, we need merit because we are still in the realm of karma generation, right? We have a good karma, we have bad karma, we have generate good thoughts, bad thoughts, we generate good actions, bad actions. Therefore, we are always, blown by the eight winds, good, bad, praise, blame, things like that. And while we are being, blown left to right like a lalang, right? So it's only right that we need to, focus on something that's easier for us. So our moral actions, fine, we can still do it, right? But sometimes we need a reward for ourselves. We say, okay, I want to do dana, I want to help this monk, I want to be seen as being dana, and I want to feel good, all right? So if you are the kind of person, then it's fine, no problem. But as you go further and further up in the what is a tier of dharma cultivation, you have to relook at where you should practice punya and where you should focus on kusala actions. Okay, understand? So I give you an example. The Buddha, an example of this situation is when the Buddha taught to Upali. If you go to this sutta, right, discourse Upali, you will come to this verse, right? Then the Blessed One gave the householder Upali progressive instruction that is talk on giving, talk on virtue, talk on the heavens. Then he explained the danger, degradation, defilement, essential pleasures, and the blessing of renunciation. Now, just a background. Upali is a householder, a regular guy like us, right? Just a lay person. Not well versed in Dhamma at all. First time hearing the Dhamma. When he first approached the Buddha did not teach him about the Four Noble Truths. The Buddha never teach him about the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha never teach him about, meditation, things like that. So what he did was, he gave a gradual discourse, all right? Gradual discourse. That means he started from the easiest to the toughest, all right? Upali Sutta is a very good example of how the Buddha uses the gradual way to explain the Dhamma. So you do not just, when you want to learn Dhamma straight away, you're exposed to Four Noble Truths. No, I think that's wrong. Okay, that is why some Buddhists give up, because what is it? First thing you hear is suffering. We shouldn't talk about that, right? We should talk like what the Buddha say here. So he gave a talk on giving. Interestingly, so you give, do dana, all right? Then after he talked about virtue, do sila. Interestingly, he talked about the heaven, because when you do virtue, right, good actions, you get good karma. When you get good karma, tend to lead you to a better rebirth, right? Not where is the good rebirth? In heaven, right? Heavenly realms. So interestingly, the Buddha, brought in heaven into this discussion here. So at the first 3 points, he talked about positive actions, fortifying your sila, and then talking about the result of the action, that is you go to heaven. Okay, so we are talking about good merits here. At the same time, right, he talked about danger of not doing these 3 things. So he talked about the danger of the degradation, defilement in sensual pleasures and things like that. Okay, and how this will lead to the rebirth in the lower realms, right? So you have the positive, and then you have the negative, right? So the Buddha talked about, giving. He didn't talk about, metaphysics. He talked about things that guy can do. He can just go and give a dana, or buy things for the monks, support the monks, so that the monks continue to give the dharma, and talk about him, right? Practicing the sila. Now you notice, he has not even gone into meditation, right? So the Buddha only taught the Upali 2 things only, basically, dana and sila, because he was a newbie in the Dharma, right? He is not a person who already know Dharma. He has nothing. He has know nothing about the Dharma, Buddha Dharma. So the Buddha talked like this. Okay, and the last one is he brought up the issue of renunciation. Now this is the higher level already, because he noticed that Upali was receptive to the talk. Okay, the more he talked, the more he understood. Now, you must understand the Buddha has third eye, right? This third eye, he can sense, the situation of the listener. Okay, so if he sense that this guy is a fast learner, okay, he goes straight into the metaphysics already, like what call this, non-self, impermanence, things like that.